Welcome back to the Rochester Press Box. I'm Tariq, Spence filling in for Bill Pucko. Kevin Oklobzija joins us. Hey, Kevin, how are you?
Couldn't be better. Great to be back.
Always good to see Pat Duffy here. Now, this is a Notre Dame jersey. I'm going to lie and say I don't know who it is, even though you told me off air who it is. But who is it?
Rick Meyer, by the way, made by Champion right here in Rochester, New York, back when it was made. And I am wearing the gamer Rick Meyer jersey in honor of the Irish this week, saying they will not participate in the new NCAA college football game unless they are sure that players will be paid. It's a really progressive move from an old school institution. Good for them.
Absolutely. Looking forward to that. Looking to see the game come back as well. Speaking of the game, really off the court or off the field, Tiger Woods is a single car crash. From what we know right now, Kevin, we cannot speculate as to what it was that led to the crash, but the damage is very severe. Your thoughts on sort of the accident in Tiger's career?
Possibly career ending. The repair he had to have to both legs. And what that will do to his recovery, let alone being able to go back and swing a golf club and hit the ball where it needs to go. I don't know. This is a maybe career ending. I'll say this, considering what we saw of the wreckage, it's pretty good advertisement for the safety of a Genesis automobile. I'll say that, at least that SUV.
Absolutely. Thank goodness he walked away from that one, Pat, because, I mean, you see those accidents all the time where a car like that, it's a single car crash from what we know as of now. And Tiger Woods' road to recovery will be probably the entire 21 season going forward and past that. But if this is the end of Tiger Woods' career, what a hell of a career it's been.
Well, like we were talking about that this week in the break room, right? Like you have a guy who was at literally the pinnacle of professional sport, maybe in American history. And then the last decade of his life has been nothing but major issue after major issue after major issue. And I guess the question that we came up with was, would you take that good for all the bad that came afterwards, right? All the success, all the money, you snap your finger, whatever you want at your beck and call, and then to have nothing but pain and embarrassment and anguish for the decade following. And by the way, it's not done yet, right? Like he's still going to be going, doing his thing. It's almost like the guy made a deal with the devil to be the greatest athlete, American athlete, maybe of all time, based on what he's gone through. Don't get me wrong. A lot of it's self-inflicted. We don't know about this accident here, but it's insane. It's insane to look at where he was versus where he is now.
And Kevin,
there are some, we can kind of look back. I mean, and the parallels perhaps in some ways to Ben Hogan, who nearly died in a car accident in a long time ago, before any of us were born, 49-ish, 50-ish, somewhere in there. I mean, he had catastrophic injuries and came back to win championships again. Not the same thing, but, it brings back some eerie parallels in some ways.
With the success of Tiger Woods throughout the years, I mean, it's still a dominant career looking back on it, even though we don't know obviously what happened with this accident and things that have gone on in his personal life since then. This is not his first injury. Obviously, we know a lot about the back injury, the different things that he's had to go through, multiple surgeries prior to this one. So it's quite the hill to climb. Obviously, we look forward to seeing Tiger Woods just walking again, literally going forward. So where does this go for his career, Kevin? I mean, obviously, we're not quite sure what's going to happen, but he's got a lot of majors. He won't have the career championships that he really wanted to, which we projected to him, but still a career anybody would really take, like Pat said.
Yeah, absolutely. And his brand is unbelievably strong still. So, it's, again, as you said, we can't speculate. We don't know what this will mean, what will happen, but right now you just hope he recovers and is able to walk and have a normal life again, really.
Pat, last comment on this one. I mean, Tiger Woods, a great athlete, really iconic, really set the world of golf on fire for our generation.
Look, I think it can be put in this statement. Michael Jordan, there are arguments from people as to whether or not he's the greatest basketball player in the history of basketball. You got the Kobe argument, the LeBron argument, the Bill Russell argument, and there can be legitimate arguments made for all of those guys versus Jordan. You can't make another argument for another pro golfer, all the greats we've seen being as good as Tiger is. Name me another sport where there is a clear-cut, definite best athlete of all time.
And especially what he did, like when his rise began, looking around Rochester, the number of golf courses, and it was nationwide, the number of golf courses that were built and the number of programs started to get more people into golf. And that's all because of Tiger and his impact.
Yeah, and think about the father connection, too, of his son just basically going out there every day and that bond that was created and talked about many times in Tiger Woods' documentary. This is the Rochester Press Box Bill segment coming up next.
Original Bay Goodman Pizza, located on the corner of North Winton at Browncroft. There are 3 ways to get the original Bay and Goodman delivery. Go to baygoodman.com.
This is the Rochester Press Box. I'm Tariq Spence. Welcome back. Bill segment, I guess, Pat Duffy, you get a chance here. J.J. Watt talk is not a 1 week and done conversation.
What are we doing? What are we doing here? Can we just stop doing this whole thing? Okay, I get that he's famous and he's on a Subway commercial. We're past this as Bills fans, right? This is not a Bills team from 2011 where, he's famous and he's on TV, so he's going to give us credibility. We don't need it. The Bills are credible. They talk about us on national television all the time. I'm going to put it this way before we go back to Kevin, who's going to gloat about what he said last week. Look, Mario Addison, who Bills fans are calling to release, the defensive end, to sign J.J. Watt, over the last 2 years, has 5.5 more sacks than J.J. Watt does. J.J. Watt has played over 8 games just 2 times in the last 5 years. J.J. Watt is going to be 32 years old, and he's had all the worst injuries a defensive end can have. No. All
right, Kevin, you called this last week. Why not the Buffalo Bills? It looks like he's on the radar.
I said, in some ways it would make sense, but Pat obviously is against it, and he's, why wouldn't they listen to him? He is the number one Bills fan. I don't know why. Why wouldn't the front office say, you know what, Duffy said no, so sorry. It's funny how there is a segment of fans, though, that are just on this bandwagon and, tweets and whatever. I saw J.J. Watt at Wegmans, and no, that was a Subway ad. It wasn't at Wegmans. Come on. But and that was in Amherst or wherever. I mean, they've got him in town, and I still think he makes sense in a limited role, depending on what you have to pay him, and let him just be that pass rushing specialist. And he has leadership.
Oh, my God, you don't need leadership. You don't need leadership. Okay, first of all, my favorite part about Kevin coming on the show when he comes on is he leads the league in headroom per box, which is fantastic. You look great over there. No, what do you need leadership for?
You got to see cigar.
You have a team full of leaders. You've cultivated a team full of leaders. This is not a team that needs someone else in the locker room telling them how to get stuff done. I mean, they're a dedicated professional football team. All you're going to do is spend $12 million, if you're lucky, on a guy that's going to be a rotational player that you don't need. Worst case scenario, doesn't see the field. Kevin, you're out of your mind, buddy. You're out of your mind.
All right, I got to ask.
$12 million regardless, so it might as well be on someone who has credibility and a resume.
Okay, for God's sakes.
Just telling you, watch is in full effect in Buffalo. Meanwhile, Matt Milano, your thoughts, Pat, on him staying with the Buffalo Bills or exploring free agency?
I mean, they said he's going to go into free agency. I think if he gets loose, which he's going to, he's not coming back. Someone's going to overpay Matt Milano. And it breaks my heart because I'm torn on Matt Milano. On one hand, you have that statistic that the Bills were 13-1 this season with Milano in the lineup. He is tailor-made for Sean McDermott, right? He's the Dan Morgan of this Buffalo Bills team, and he does a lot of things well. But going back kind of to the J.J. Watt issue, guy has a hard time seeing the field, right? Like, can you commit that kind of money to a guy that has missed a lot of time, and you have to pay Tremaine Edmonds, who is younger and might play a more valuable role in your defense a year or two from now? I don't want to see the guy go. It feels, Kevin, you know what it feels like? It feels a lot like Shane Conlon when he ended up out in Los Angeles when free agency started. It breaks my heart, but it might have to happen.
And sometimes, they leave and you find out, well, you know what? We're okay with it.
No, it might be a decision made for the Buffalo Bills when it comes to the numbers. It seems like as if, Duffy, you have a job in the near future with the Buffalo Bills and their budget team going forward for the salary cap, because you went through those numbers very fast. I'm impressed.
Look, man, I've been playing Madden. I got 20 solid years of Madden franchise modes in which I always win the Super Bowl, and I don't know why the Bills don't answer my applications I've been sending year after year.
Okay, well, perhaps this will be a different way to apply for the job. I vote for you. I'm telling you, if they call me, use me as a reference. I'll get you in.
And you look great in that tie, so I think that'll help.
Thank you. Nothing about the sweater, though? All right. Like it or not, coming up next, you're watching the Rochester Press Box.
Here's the Press Box Trivia question brought to you by Market View Liquor, where exceptional customer service meets an extensive selection. Jefferson Road at 390.
All of these things show Josh Allen has a strive for greatness inside of him.
Falcon Around with Carl Falk. New episodes every Tuesday on Rock Sports Now.
Here's the Press Box Trivia answer brought to you by Market View Liquor, where exceptional customer service meets an extensive selection. Jefferson Road at 390.
Are you facing criminal charges from a DWI and feel that you never imagined it could happen to you? Contact attorneys with years of experience as prosecutors and defenders. Contact Ganguly Brothers Law today for a free consultation. You can put your trust in us. This segment of the Press Box, like it or not, has been brought to you by Ganguly Brothers Law, attorneys with years of experience defending the accused. Don't go unprepared with less. Contact Ganguly Brothers Law today. All right, let's start first, Kevin, with Fernando Tatis Jr. That is a lot of money over 14 years. I think in the neighborhood of about $340 million. Do you like that deal or not?
The only person that can like it is Fernando Tatis. I mean, and fans. I mean, you know, they have to love the idea that, you know, he's going to be there. But I just don't. I mean, he's not going to be there in 14 years. He might not even be playing then. So however they got to do it to make the economics work, I guess. But I don't know. Anytime I see a deal that long, I just think Bobby Bonilla.
I think,
get it. That was a buyout. But still, I mean, teams that are paying players that are 10 years past where, you know, when they actually wore a uniform is absurd.
Well, it's funny. I love Bobby Bonilla Day. I think it's great. And I'm a Mets fan. I love Bobby Bonilla Day because I just get to laugh at how much money he gets on the contract that was set back so many years ago. I mean, he does want a statue in San Diego, though. This is a guy who basically said when signing the contract, Duffy, I'd like a statue in San Diego when I'm all done.
He can actually buy like 40,000 statues with all of that money. Look, I mean, what I think the most amazing thing to me is how strong Major League Baseball Players Union is, right? Like you have NFL football players that put their health on the line, their eventual safety, all this stuff for a fraction of what these guys make. By the way, that 14-year contract is fully guaranteed. That money goes to him no matter what. How do Major League Baseball teams justify, especially in San Diego, by the way, like that's not like a super major market that's raking in money. How do you justify this? And how are you going to justify it to your fans 6 years from now when you unload it
when
and
he's
hold
playing
on
for the Yankees?
Yes, and you're paying 3/4 of the contract just to unload it. It's bananas, man. What are you doing?
I guess nobody's really learned from Albert Pujols, who signed that 10-year contract with the Angels and got nothing out of it.
Or even look,
and that's a good example. I mean, they were paying him 8 years past his prime, even more. I mean, I don't get it, but hey, it's their money. If they want to throw it away, go ahead.
NBA All-Star Snubs. It seems as if Trae Young of Atlanta and Devin Booker of Phoenix are not on the team this year. I know, Duffy, your first thing, like it or not, who are you going to take off the team?
Yeah, I mean, that's just it. It kind of sucks. Look, I was reading something the other day, which is very interesting, right? I mean, Kevin, you remember this. I think you were a junior in college, the 1951 NBA All-Star game.
That's my freshman year. Get it right?
They had 10 teams and 12 guys on each roster. Well, now you have, 30 NBA teams? You still have 15 guys on each roster. What would be the issue with making 22-man All-Star game rosters, right? You're going to have guys playing fewer minutes, which is better for their teams. You're going to be able to focus on younger players, propelling them into All-Star status, which is better for the league. Like, I mean, these guys should be there, but it's markets like Atlanta and it's markets like Phoenix, which traditionally aren't getting all that much attention. It hurts the NBA when you see the same big names over and over and over again in the All-Star game.
TV dictates some of this, that they want LeBron, they want somebody playing 30 minutes, 22 minutes, whatever it may be, instead of a continual, ushering in of a different group of players every couple minutes.
I mean, I guess it's possible, but you could also make the argument, Kevin, on the other hand, if you're introducing these players to an audience that doesn't know them, well, now when Phoenix plays on national television, when Atlanta plays on national television, which would normally be a tune-out game, you know who these people are. You've seen them do their best work. It makes these teams more watchable.
Plus, the game really doesn't...
One or two times that they're actually on TV.
Plus, the game doesn't really mean anything. It is an exhibition, so why not expose some of your talented players as much time as possible for the future of the NBA?
I am a fan in Major League Baseball that they have to have a player from each team. I still do like that. I remember being a kid, and that was like the 50s, as you said, or the 40s. But I do like the idea of someone from my team in this game. Otherwise, maybe I won't care at all. At this point in my life, no, it doesn't matter. I like to see the best players. I also like to see good young players, as you're talking about. But I do like the idea that every team is represented. So perhaps it's something the NBA should explore.
Absolutely. Maybe in the near future. Unfinished business coming up next. You're watching the Rochester Press Box. The Press Box Stat of the Week is being brought to you by McArdle's Restaurant in Fairport. McArdle's is open 7 days a week with dining available indoors and out, takeout and delivery. Come home to McArdle's.
And now to Eichel. He floated one.
Welcome back to the Rochester Press Box. Tariq Spence with you. Of course, it's unfinished business, and the first to fire off one, Mr. Pat Duffy.
Pour one out for the man, the myth, the legend. Tim Tebow announced his retirement from professional baseball, professional sports earlier this week. And I, for one, am shocked. I mean, I like Tim Tebow, right? He seems like a nice guy. But can you find me a professional athlete who was more of a superstar with less of a resume than Tim Tebow was? Like, yes, he won a Heisman. He's arguably one of the best college football players of all time. But there's a bunch of guys who have won Heismans who you can't remember right now. In fact, I bet you most people watching don't remember who won the Heisman the year before Tim Tebow did. He won a playoff game in Denver, and it was a great game in overtime, but it was a game, and they ran him out of town. Then he couldn't start for the New York Jets, and they ran him out of town. Then he couldn't make the New England Patriots. Goes and plays baseball. Doesn't go above AAA. And there are lots of folks who thought he didn't deserve to be in AAA anyway. Yet, he is a household name to this day, 15 to 20 years after he won his Heisman Trophy. I want you to think all day. And don't use Google, because that's the wuss way out. Find me a household sports superstar that had less of a successful career than Tim Tebow did.
And he's in TV commercials. Brand recognition. He's very set for life, obviously, but he knew how to market himself. Couldn't play baseball at all. So we have, speaking of baseball, and we won't have an appearance of Tim Tebow at Frontier Field this year. We will, however, have baseball. Thank goodness. There will be a season. There will be a schedule. We're even going to have fans. I can't tell you how hard it was to go through an entire summer without baseball in person as it was last year. So it'll be different, and fans will be scattered. And how many are allowed in the ballpark, we don't know. But at least we have Red Wings baseball back. I don't think they're going to be very good, because that Washington farm system is pretty depleted, at least at the top. But we have baseball.
I can't wait to get out to Frontier Field. Depending on how many people they let in, that'll be a lot of fun. For the Boston Celtics, and I hate to do this to Bill, but I'm getting a little bit concerned. Over the last few seasons, the Boston Celtics were basically beat by LeBron James and the Cavs in the Eastern Conference Finals, lost in the semifinals to the Bucks the next year, and then lost last year to the Miami Heat. So what to make of the Boston Celtics? I'm not quite sure. I mean, they were in this whole chemistry team process, tinkering. We'll put in one Mr. Kyrie Irving. We'll take him out. We'll bring in Gordon Hayward. We'll take him out. We'll put in a couple of different players here, Kemba Walker. And it still hasn't turned out to be exactly what Boston is looking for, a chance to get to the NBA Finals. Listen, right now, the Boston Celtics are in a terrible situation. You've got the beast in the East when it comes to the Brooklyn Nets, and you've got Philadelphia, who's actually going through this process a little bit better with Doc Rivers. Where does this put the Boston Celtics? Right next to my New York Knicks at the bottom of the division. I'm not quite sure what's going on with the Boston Celtics, but if they don't get that ship right, they'll be right there and seeing the Knicks on top of them in the division. That is unfinished business. Of course, Kevin Oklobzija, thank you for your 2-week stint here. We'll have you again back soon. How about that?
Sounds good.
Always great. And then Pat Duffy, of course, I'm not sure what jersey you're going to wear. We're going into March Madness, though, so I'm sure you got some Syracuse stuff.
Tariq, your sweater looks fantastic.
Thank you for the compliment. I appreciate that. Thank you for those watching. I'm Tariq Spence, filling in for Bill Puckle. I'll try to do better next time here on the Rochester Press Box.